Okay, let's do a quick mic check. Wow, the delay on YouTube is pretty big today. I don't think the cats are the cause of the delay, but interesting idea, Des. Hi, Des. How you doing? All right, let's see what we're doing today. Um, you mean you have cat interference? Yeah, I figured as much. I just thought it was funnier that they were interfering with my connection. That's all. All right. We'll see. If this isn't too what's it called? Too dry, I'll just finish this up. I tried to finish it up last night, but I had a bunch of things I had to do, and then by the time I got around to it, it was so late that I didn't have a lot of time to put into it. Phone, stupid phone. This, you said you were finishing. I know. I said I was finishing. I tried. It just everything took longer than I'd hoped. I had what's it called? I just had to do a bunch of things, and all of those things took longer, and then I didn't get to it. Or rather, by the time I got to it, I didn't have enough time. Put in an extra like hour or so later on in the day, but yeah, I know. We'll see if I can finish it today on stream. Um, yeah. A lot of times during the week, the stream, especially on Mondays, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel like Mondays are often less busy as far as like the stream goes. Oh, also, I think the quality of my camera was really bad yesterday. I haven't had a chance to go look at it. my camera was on a like different setting for some reason. I must have bumped it or something. So if the camera is looking a lot better today versus yesterday, that is why. Although I have to say I might be investing in a better capture card anyways, because there's some like noise and stuff happening that I'm not a fan of, and I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. I don't really want to spend more money on a new capture card or something, but I also don't want my video feed to look crappy. So, you know, it's a mix of trying, it's a balance. Trying to balance quality and finances. Oh my god, there it is. Okay. I was getting frustrated for a second. Wait. Excuse me for just a moment. I am cleaning off my palette, and it's so much easier to do when it is on the floor or on a desk versus on my easel. You need to have good leverage and a solid base. That makes cleaning your palette so much easier. All right, there we go. So we'll see how it goes. I reached out to this I don't know what I would call him. I mean, he's maybe a color scientist or like an influencer. It's kind of hard to, I'm not sure how to qualify it exactly, but I reached out to this guy who I've seen on Instagram who, like I said, I think he's a color scientist, or I think he definitely knows a lot about color. I think he has some degrees in it or something. I want to talk to him about different paints and building a palette. We'll see how it goes. He has a ton of followers, so there's a good chance that he's too big for me, and he won't want to, deal with me. But we'll see. Also, I came across something really interesting. When was it? Last night, I think it was. Yeah, last night. Golden, the paint company, they do a lot of research into paint and the archivalness of paint and stuff like that. Apparently, they came across something real interesting where oil paint was cracking when painted over acrylics. And it's apparently a new phenomenon that they hadn't experienced before. So I saw a whole thing about it. This is like a year old, so it's not new stuff, but new to me. I'll see if I can find the video again and link it. Try and do that later. But it's only under very specific conditions, and they're trying to figure out why and what's the cause of it. Also, if you didn't know, Golden, they purchased Williamsburg, or either purchased or made it, but either way, they produce Williamsburg paint. So they do also make oil paint. It's just under a different name. Oh, they don't make oils under the brand Golden. They make it under Williamsburg, but all kinds of paints. And what it is apparently it has to do with painting. If you put down gloss acrylics, and then you paint with oils over the gloss acrylics at a certain only if it's like a thin layer, but not too thin, but not too thick, then it cracks within like 5 days or something like that. So it's a very immediate thing that happens. So it's not going to be I mean, it'll be a surprise, but it won't be a surprise down the line. You'll find out about it pretty soon, within days of it, drying. But yeah, they tried other brands too. It's not as unique to Golden. But like I said, it has something to do with the glossy acrylics. There's probably more information about it at this point because, like I said, this is like video is like a year old. It was just, I never heard anything about it, which is kind of unique. It's not often that I come across something in this realm, and I've never heard anything about it. I mean, it happens to me a lot in other areas, but this is something I'm kind of familiar with. So excuse me for a second. All right. The acrylic medium I use is acrylic matte medium. So apparently matte medium is okay. And there's also other ways of combating this apparently. Like if you add oil to the paint, it should kind of negate the issue apparently. I don't know. Like I said, there's probably more to it that they've discovered since a year ago. I just haven't heard about it. But yeah, Golden is very they're very active in conservation circles. I don't know if other paints are, other paint manufacturers are, but I know that Golden is. I've seen they've published all kinds of research and articles and stuff like that. And they've worked. I've also seen them. I think they've worked with universities and conservators and other stuff like that, which is surprising. But yeah, you know, I guess maybe it's not surprising. To me, it's surprising, but what do I know? Not exactly an expert on conservation. There's a YouTube channel that they have a guy that does conservation, but apparently he's a little questionable in his methods, according to conservators, like museum conservators. So I don't know, but I do like that channel. I forget what it's called, but there's a I forget what the channel's called, but it's interesting to see him work and restore things. That says an hour ago I just put acrylic matte medium down on my canvas, but it's not golden. It doesn't, like I said, it's not specific to golden, and also it's not. It doesn't apply to matte medium. It's about specifically gloss medium. What blue did you say you'd never use as an underpainting? Um, I said I wouldn't use phthalo blue. It's too strong. It'll um, it'll overpower everything that you put on top of it. It'll basically turn the painting blue until it dries. So if that's what you want, like by all means, but it will tint every color you try and paint over it, it'll tint. So, if that's what you want, perfect. Uh, if that's not what you want, horrible, So it just depends on what your needs are. I normally work when I first start a painting, as you've seen me start ones, paintings here. I work wet into wet, right? Like I start the drawing, then I put down then I lay down the, general colors and everything. And then after I, mess it all up with the brayer, I then go back in and start painting wet into wet. If you lay down the whole thing with, if you use phthalo blue to do that whole process, everything that you try and put in wet into wet is just going to turn into phthalo blue. Well, not perfectly phthalo blue, to be fair. It will look like a mix, but if you put down white, it will slowly turn blue. If you put down other colors, it will slowly turn, if you put down a yellow, it'll slowly turn green, and so on. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. But yeah, it really just messes it up. It's also a slow drying color, so it's not like the slowest drying color, but it's on the slower side. So not only will you not be able to keep working on it, you're also going to have to wait longer for it to dry. If you want a fast drying color for your lay-in, go with like an earth tone, um, like raw umber, burnt umber. Those are all like really. Those are good for laying in a painting because they dry so fast and they're cheap. I don't know about what is it called? Is it burnt sienna, which has that like reddish tone to it? A lot of people like that. And I had a teacher who also likes transparent earth red, which is also pretty quick. Although I don't know if it's quicker than those. I think it might be slower, but I'm not sure. Probably depends on the brand as well, but yeah. But yeah, burnt sienna is a beautiful color. I just don't know. I don't know how fast it dries, but it should be quick. Raw umber and umber are ridiculously fast. But yeah, I mean, a little, if you have a bit of ultramarine in your mix, that's probably not going to be an issue. I'll be honest, as long as it's not just straight ultramarine blue, not ultramarine, sorry, phthalo blue. As long as it's not straight up phthalo blue, it should be fine, I think. If it's a mix and it has phthalo blue in it, it's probably fine if it's not too overpowering. The reason I say that is because I often just use whatever I have left over on my palette, and sometimes it'll have phthalo blue mixed in. But as long as it's not like overpoweringly phthalo blue, it's fine. At least for me. Des says, I used an ultramarine blue as a thin underpainting on an orange and white cat painting. You really like how it peeked through sometimes between the sections of color. That's cool. Ultramarine is a beautiful color, and it's um like I don't really have an opinion on it as far as like it being whether or not it's like a strong color or not. I can't I don't I think I just don't remember, or it didn't leave an impression on me either way, kind of thing. Not when compared to like uh phthalo blue. To be fair, like an overpoweringly strong paint is not necessarily a good thing, you know. It's just the reality of phthalo blue. If it was more manageable, it'd probably be easier to paint with, honestly. But I know we often associate like strong things as being good. Like if it's a strong color, it's a good color. It's like, not really. Just means that it's difficult to work with, honestly. I've heard a lot of people say they don't like working with phthalo blue. Yeah, ultramarine used to be on my palette. I still have a tube of it, but um, my problem with ultramarine blue is its limitations. You can't really get those like turquoise colors out of it. Um, you know, and I find that those turquoise or cerulean type of colors, it's incapable of making those. But yeah, I'm hoping that guy that I reached out to online, I hope he's open to talking to me because I would love to pick his brain about colors. Um, see if he can see if he can come up with a palette even more even wider than my current one. Uh, I'd love to see if he has any input in that direction. I'm a little skeptical, but that he can. Not that he won't have good input. I think he'll have great input. I just think that I researched this stuff enough, but I could be wrong. He might and he definitely will have insight that I don't have. He's, um, but yeah. But like I said, honestly, I suspect that he won't even respond because he's got like, I think 300,000 followers or something like that. And I don't have anywhere near that. And while I don't think that the number of followers that a person has indicates, much about them, um, when it comes to social media, it's all about, to a degree, numbers. So, at least for some people, not for everybody, of course, but everyone has a limited amount of time in their day too. So we'll see. We'll see. So, Laura, are you starting on one of the paintings for your project? You're almost done with your sister's portrait. You just have some hair and her shirt to finish. Nice. Oh, and you're starting another one and you're prepping the canvas and need to sketch it in. Got it. Very cool. The one taking the photos went back today and got 5 more participants. So you have to choose a good one. And your mom liked the sitter, so she grabbed up that one. Got it. The one you took is quite stunning. You want to do her justice? Oh, nice. I'm sure you will. I think it's a great project that you guys are working on. So, um, if when it's done, if people can also participate in the auction online, let me know so I can post about it because I think it's a really cool project. As you said, you always find some excuse to get anxiety over it. Uh, yeah, I mean, it's very common. I think, like, I understand where you're coming from. I think having anxiety over painting, um, the thing is, it's like it depends on the what's it called, the details, right? Because like, or the specifics rather, not details, the specifics of the scenario. Because just having anxiety over painting, I do understand it. However, I think it's a silly thing to have anxiety over. I do understand where it comes from. I just think it's silly to do because once you change your attitude and you're not worried about, every painting being perfect and getting it always right and everything, then the anxiety that anxiety, at least in my experience, kind of just goes away because like, you know, where it doesn't have any place. There's no like expectations, so it's not a big deal. But when you have projects and deadlines and time constraints, and you want to make people happy and so on, it becomes a different story. And I get that. I still think, you know, it's probably like not well, not probably. I don't think it's a beneficial thing to be anxious about stuff, but like, easier said than done, and from my experience, for sure. It's like telling someone, "Oh yeah, don't be depressed." Okay, cool. Thanks. But, I do think you can work like I do think people can work on anxiety and improve it over time, for sure. Just in general, I'm talking now, not specifically about anything, but yeah. You just need to do it. Well, get started or get finishing on the other portrait or whatever you need to do right now. Do that. Do what you need to do right now, right now. I think Des says, I think it's my condition and pills that have led to me affected by it so badly. Well, yeah, I mean, I can understand a lot of things can definitely get in the way, and all those things that can get in the way can affect your mindset on it for sure. That makes sense. But here's the good thing though, right? Here's the really good thing. Uh, Sorry, my typing is bad tonight. Yeah, fair. My typing is bad always. Um, no, here's one of the really good things. Is that, of course, there's exceptions. There's always exceptions. There's always scenarios. But generally speaking, it's a mental thing when it comes to painting. Generally speaking, and that's a good thing because you can get over mental things. Like mental issues are way, in some ways, they're way easier to overcome than certain physical issues, right? So even though it might not seem like a good thing, at least you have that. You can overcome it eventually. And that's the thing too that's so cool about like art and painting. If anybody tells you, oh, they can't do it, um, like, and I'm not talking about quality, I'm just talking about doing it, right? Like, they're like, oh, I can't possibly, whatever. Uh, you can, everybody can. There's almost nobody who can't make art. Literally, the list is like, with the exception of people who are like restrained, who are, in situations where they can't. But I'm talking about people who have the situation that they could, but they claim to not have the ability. Yeah, no, that's. I think it's in the single digits as far as like the people who legitimately cannot uh, make art. Mm. I will see. Unfortunately, I'm probably going to make it a somewhat short stream tonight. It's been a long, long day. And yeah, we'll see. Um, there was the eclipse today, which was exciting, uh, but it slowed me down a little for stuff I need to do today. So I want to, go back and make up for that. I love these little like rubber thingies. I need to get more of them. These ones are falling apart. They're so useful. It's like it's kind of like having a very, very like tight brush. Like if you open up a new brush and it's like all the bristles are really, really thin and tight and held together really well. It's kind of like that in a way. Only these bristles will never fray, which I like. Yeah. Hey, Poison Jekyll, welcome. Sorry, I missed your messages. Sorry if I left you hanging there for a bit. There was an eclipse. Yeah, there was a solar eclipse that went straight through the country. Do you have to be careful not to scoop your paint back up? I do. Um, yeah, you have to be careful when you're painting wet into wet. That is something that you constantly have to be careful of, because the paint will literally come up, and so what happens is a lot of times you'll see, um, I'll put down just like a single stroke, maybe two, and then I have to go back for paint because essentially it's pulling up the paint that's already there. And with really stiff brushes, it can be even worse. With really stiff brushes, you have to be very careful because you can just dig straight through the paint that you have there and just make like it's like running a comb through a Play-Doh or something. You make grooves into it. That's why usually the way people work is they work with soft brushes early on, and then towards the end, they're usually working with much, much softer brushes. Um, and if you want to paint wet into wet and you want to paint like detail on top of wet paint, usually people will tell you to get a very soft brush. How are you doing, by the way? Sorry I didn't ask. Hope you're having a good day today. I'm good. Been mucking around the house, cleaning and such. That's good. You got to the gym soon and life drawing group later. Oh, that's awesome. It sounds like a really fun day or night. Sounds that sounds awesome. Minus the cleaning part. It's good to do. It just does not sound fun. I mean, if we're being honest, the gym is questionable in the fun category. I mean, I used to enjoy going to the gym. Now, not so much. So, it just kind of depends. I know a lot of people love it though. Had to be done. The cleaning, I know, right? You know what I really want to know is they're developing all these AI nonsense and stuff like that. Like where's the robot to just clean the house? And don't say a Roomba, okay? I have cats. My a Roomba is not going to survive my cats, okay? And I have stairs, and a Roomba is worthless for that. But where's that you know, sci-fi robot that follows me around the house and just does like all the chores for me? Lately, gym's been pretty easy, so hopefully changes back to fun soon. Yeah, gym's difficult. Mr. Handy from Fallout, exactly. I'll be honest, I never played Fallout, but the go-to is like the Jetsons, right? Like the what's it called? The robot from the Jetsons or something like that. The old school version. But yeah, I never played Fallout. Fallout was out when Fallout was it came out during a time when uh, I could not afford to play video games, unfortunately. I never got a chance to experience it. Similar idea, except he floats, I guess. Oh, that's cool. You prefer Skyrim out of the Bethesda games, personally, but I like the Fallout vibe. That's fair. I've some of the Fallouts I've liked their commercials and stuff, but I never played them. And same with Skyrim. Skyrim came out at a time when I just couldn't afford to play video games, and then by the time I could afford it, and I looked at Skyrim, I was just like, I don't know, this is just not my vibe. Like there's a lot of things about Skyrim that are my vibe. It's just the game. I think the details of it, I don't know. Like if I'm comparing it, I'll put it this way, okay? Um, I lean more towards Elden Ring, right? Like the vibes are very similar in aesthetic or look, but I think it's the gameplay that's so different. Elden Ring is one of those ones that like punishes you, isn't it? I don't know that I would say that. Um, it's like Dark Souls 3, but in an open world. We'll put it that way. I like Dark Souls 3 too. Dark Souls 1, I could not really. I'll go back to it. I want to finish it, but Dark Souls 1 was just a little too janky in some ways. But we'll see. I still want to go and finish it because since I started it. The one I want to finish, the one I want to go back to and finish more than anything is Sekiro. Um, yeah, I want to go back and finish Sekiro. Oh, you didn't know it was open world? Yeah, yeah, it's open world. That's what actually makes it kind of easier than like Dark Souls 3. You did hear good things about that game? Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, Elden Ring is really good. If you like action, that type of action. Like if you really don't, then you know, if you don't like action and you don't want a challenge, it is challenging, but there are ways to make it less challenging because it's an open world. There's so much options available for you to play it in different ways. So even though it has the stigma of like, oh, you just need to get good, yeah, not really. But yeah, really the thing with Elden Ring is that the combat. If you're not into like that type of combat, um, I wouldn't recommend it. The story is really good, but you can also just watch. There's like a ton of lore videos on YouTube that you can watch. So if the lore is what interests you, just watch those, honestly. Um, Poison Jack says I was working my way through The Witcher 2 slowly, and then you got gifted God of War, so now I don't play either of them. So I bought The Witcher 3. Um, it was on sale for like $10, and I was like, okay, let's try this out. So I've heard so much good things about this. Let's give it a shot, right? Um, and it looks somewhat like it will be kind of like an Elden Ring type of game. Um, but it's really not. I'll be honest, I was kind of disappointed with it. The thing is, it's a very story driven, and I feel like I'm dumb because I like I get lost with the story. There's just too many like weird names and so much stuff, and I just get bored of it too. So I'm just like, okay, but like, and then the action just is not, um, it's not as like tight or challenging. I'd say the way I'd put it. It's much older too. It is, but like I played Dark Souls 3, and that was fine. It was much. That's much older. It didn't bother me. But yeah, most of the games I play, it's more about like the what you do. I'm not the idea of doing a playing a game where you like, there's the walk along games where it's like it leads you through a story kind of thing. I can't. I feel like I'd be too bored to do those games. Poison Jaxes, they're okay when you don't want to think, but then there's the kind of thing where you could just as well watch a playthrough or YouTube. Yeah, that's the thing. I think it might just be my ADHD that like gets the better of me, where I'm just like, I would rather I would rather watch a YouTube video about this while I do something. Um, yeah. And I'd rather play a game that has almost no real story, but is like action packed. But yeah, everyone's different. Like people like Animal Crossing, and I never understood why anybody would play that game. But if it makes you happy, it makes you happy. What am I going to say about it? Does it? No, it does. So, all right, enjoy. You never played it, but you're pretty hooked on Stardew lately, which I assume is similar. I wouldn't know. It looks kind of similar-ish to my like uninformed view. Um, it just a lot of these games, you know, um, a lot of these games just to me, once again, just my personal opinion, just feels like chores the video game, and I don't understand why I'd want to do that, but it's cool. Like we're not all the same, so that's cool. Do what you enjoy. Not everybody wants to play Doom Eternal either, so it's all good. LOL, yeah. I don't know. The same thing with like The Sims, all of these things. I don't know. And like I said, never got into them, but whatever. I learned something absolutely fascinating a couple, I'm trying to remember, I think it was a couple of years ago. Um, yeah, I think at this point it was a couple of years ago because it was when I found out that when I was diagnosed with ADHD and everything. And so I started researching it a bit more, and I learned a lot of really interesting things about ADHD that I was totally unaware of. It's really complicated. There's a lot of like nuances to it. It affects people differently. There's all kinds of interesting things about it. If if you find those things interesting. Um, but one of the things that absolutely blew my mind um, was this idea that I found out that some people, or most people, I don't know, a lot of people, let's put it that way. Well, you know what? I'll just put it this way: people that aren't me. We'll leave it at that because that's um, like they get this. What is it? Like they get that dopamine rush feeling when they like complete tasks and you clean the house. Speaking of chores, you clean the house and you feel all good because you did the thing and you cleaned the house and everything's all neat and you accomplished something and you get this dopamine rush because you feel good about it and everything. And I thought that only happened to people who have what's it called, OCD or something. Check things off a mental list, maybe. Yeah. See, I thought that only applied to people who have like OCD or something. I didn't realize that was a thing that actually like happened to most people. Um, yeah, I just feel tired afterwards. I'm just like, okay, I'm tired now. And this was something that I also apply. I think kind of Poison Jackal says interesting. Yeah, it's something that kind of applies when I was in the military. I don't know if it's exactly the same thing, but when I was in the military, there was a thing which was like when you do something, when you do a good job, they give you like a congratulations, right? It's like a good job type of thing. And that's all it is. It's a verbal thing. And it's like, you know, people would get that for doing something, and I'd notice, and they'd be like smiling and happy and everything in the military, and I'm like, and I didn't know what it was because there's a specific term for it, but that aside, there's a military term for it specifically. And so when I was like, what is that? They're like, oh, it means you did a good job or whatever. I'm like, okay. And they're like, well, that's all. I'm like, do they give me anything for it? I'm like, no, it's just you did a good job. I'm like, all right, like, I don't care. Or what do I care? Like, give me some time off or something. I hated being in the military, to be fair. I don't like being told what to do that much, so did not agree with me. We'll put it that way. But yeah, it was funny. I don't know if it's the same type of thing, but I suspect that it has something similar in there somewhere. But yeah, it was real interesting to find out all kinds of stuff like that. But the mind blowing thing was finding out that like how other people experience things. That to me was like a big deal. Pizza shout, huh? Uh, Pudding Jackal says my old work was really bad at giving people acknowledgments for working hard on something. It makes a huge difference to just know that they saw you putting in effort and that they appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I feel a little bit more like that in my current job, but um, you know, but I also care a lot more about my current job. So maybe that's what it is. I guess not as much for you personally. Well, like I said, I care a lot more about my current job and I like my current job a lot more. So it means a lot more to me to do a good job at my current job. But I guess in the military, it did not at all. But yeah, I don't know. Those moments happened occasionally to me. Like, um, I once talked with someone uh, who's older. She's like in her 70s. I mentioned this before, but in case you haven't heard it, I once talked to someone who's like in her 70s, um, and she told me that she has never cooked rice in her life. And I was like, I'm sorry, what now? How is that possible? And then she said, you know what? Now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever eaten rice before in my life. And I stood there and I'm just like, I'm sorry. How, how is that possible? Just these weird moments in life where someone tells me something or I've learned something and I'm just like, how is this? So, same thing like people actually enjoy doing chores. I'm like, that blew my mind. But then this rice thing too is just similar thing. I'm just like, how is that possible? What do you mean? But in general says, I think for me it was uh, a bit like feeding the cycle. You don't like not putting effort in, and when there's no reward, it makes you wonder why you're doing it. Oh, for sure. I can understand that. Um, for sure. There, he says there might be an alternate universe out there where we have never had rice too. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't know. That one really got me. It would be like if I met someone who was like, "Yeah, I've never been inside of a bus ever of any kind." I'd be like, what do you mean you've never been inside of a bus? Like, how is like unless they're like, you know, from like I don't know, a tribe that it has no contact with modern modern society, I'd be like, what do you mean? That's rich kid stuff. Even rich kids have had to go on a bus at some point. Like, I mean, at school, something, right? Like, I mean, I can't like how could you never be on a bus? Like, okay, maybe not public transportation. I grew up in LA partially, and when I was in LA, I never rode the bus because LA is a weird city. But like a school bus, a school trip, you know, nothing. No, I would. I don't know. I would lose. It would be one of those moments where I'm just like, I don't understand how we're in the same reality here. It would be that kind of thing. That's kind of what happened with the rice thing. I'm just like, I don't understand how you can live in this world, you know, and never ever eaten rice once. How is that possible? This, by the way, is a conversation that happened literally years ago, and I still bring it up because I can't forget about it. The fact that she's aware of it too is interesting. Does she have any curiosity or defiance towards it? I wonder. I don't know. Honestly, I will say she didn't ask to try any of the rice that I had at the time. So I suspect there's no curiosity there, at least. Another thing like that happened to me once was when I was when I was in LA. I talked to I've met people in LA. This isn't hearsay. This is I have met people in LA who live in Los Angeles, were born in Los Angeles, and have and are not like destitute, right? That's important. They're not like so unbelievably poor that they can't, do anything. Um, and they have never seen the beach or the ocean. Isn't there a beach there? Yeah. There, depending on which direction you go. I mean, if you go towards the coast, there's quite a few beaches there. Quite a few. And depending on traffic, it can be it can be a long drive or it could be a 20-minute drive. Just depending on traffic. You're pulling up maps, I'm telling you. It's one of those moments where it's just like, what do you mean? You've never been you've never seen the ocean. You live in LA. To clarify, if you're curious, they lived uh, they lived east east of the 405. What are you talking about? It'd be more than 4 hours drive? No, you're looking at the wrong thing. Nah. Here's a city. Check Culver City. Just search Culver City. Oh, it'd be a 4 hour drive maximum? Yeah, it's not even that. Maybe if there was like an accident or, something. Okay, you're looking at the wrong thing. Check the 405 at Culver City and then see what that is to the beach. Oh my God, it's 20 minutes away. LA traffic is notoriously bad. It could be an hour and like really bad days. But yeah, that's kind of my point. I literally had this conversation with someone and I was just like, what do you mean? And their thing was they were on the east side of the 405. They were on the they were on the east side of the 405, so they'd have to cross the 405. Culver City, the to the beach is 5.3 miles. Yeah. Yeah. I don't have I don't have a like good reasoning here. Obviously, that was one of those conversations where I felt, like I said, I just felt like reality just kind of like shifted underneath my feet in the middle of the conversation because it just like did not make sense to me. Yeah, at one point, when I was living in LA, at one point I had to move out to Glendale, which is not that far from like the San Fernando Valley. Uh, but it's not like super close, we'll say. Um, I barely saw any of my friends while I lived out there because it was just like so far away for anybody to go visit me. Uh, yeah, it was crazy. And it's just like, I don't know, LA is a weird place. I'll say that. Uh, Poison Jackal says, it's longer distance from my house to my usual beach. Not even my closest beach. You know, I mean, yeah, I don't get it. I really don't get it. I can understand not going often, but never. This is a person who's never seen the ocean with their own eyes. Like, it's wild. Yeah, I agree. It's wild. You've got to get ready for the gym. It was nice hanging out. Absolutely. No, it was very nice hanging out. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you have a great workout. Hope your painting goes well. Thank you very much. It's going good so far. This really is like the final stages of the painting. I feel like this is not great content because like you can't see a lot of the, it's so like detail and fiddly, but whatever. I need to finish the painting, so it's this or nothing, I guess. Yeah, I was right. Mondays, I do get the feeling that Mondays are often lower. I, I, to the point where I do sometimes wonder if I should switch my stream day from Monday to something else. Uh, it's just that Mondays are usually slow at work as well. So that's why I tend to, that's why I want to, you know, stream on Monday. I could theoretically stream on Friday. Friday is often not the busiest day, but sometimes it is the problem. Sometimes it's a very busy day. Also, I don't know if what's it called? Friday would be all that better as far as like viewers. Oh, we have a cat coming. Might get a cat on stream in a minute. Or not. Sounds like they decided. I think they heard me and were like, oh, I'm not coming over there. Fuck that. All right, this is finally. It's so interesting putting in, like, really putting in the eye, not just hinting at it. It's amazing the difference it starts to make. The reason I am ruining these parts of the painting right now is I need to fix some things. And like I often say, it's a lot easier a lot of times to ruin something and fix it than it is to like fix it while it's at the stage that it's currently at. Not always, there's nothing's always, but a lot of times, especially here when it's on the edges like this, because I want to soften these edges, not, I don't want to make all my edges hard. I can go in and make those edges harder if I need to. But yeah, trying to incorporate this like these colors that are not very realistic into it and make it like make those realistic and unrealistic colors blend well is challenging. One of the things about getting one of the things about using colors that are not accurate or the correct color, one of the most important things you'll hear people talk about is getting the values correct in those instances. And that really is important because the values are what are going to sell the form and make it clear to your eye what the form is, regardless of what the colors are. Generally speaking, when doing paintings like this, it is a good idea if you're going to manipulate the colors so much. It's a really good idea to do a mock-up digitally. Can make life much easier. In fact, would have made my life a lot easier had I done that. But I don't always make my life easy. The thing I wanted to avoid was him looking like he has a black eye, and currently he looks like he has a black eye. Which means that I have failed at the moment. Let's see if I can fix that so it doesn't look like he just has a black eye, but rather it looks like I'm alluding to the fact that he plays the Purple Man. As that was the inspiration for this color change. I'm probably going to have to end stream soon, though, unfortunately. Really want to finish this, but I have to meet my other obligations first. In case anybody's new and watching, or if anybody's watching after the fact, I stream 3 times a week. I stream Sunday afternoon, Monday night, and Wednesday night. So I will be back on Wednesday. I think I'll be working on another painting regardless of if this one's done by then or not. Although I really do hope to have this done before then. But yeah, I have a few other paintings to work on. So we're not going to be lacking for stuff to paint, luckily. And if you would like to get notifications, you can join my Discord. I notify people in my Discord. You know, like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that stuff. But yeah, I do notify people in my Discord when I'm streaming. There's a link in the bio or in the description or whatever. What else? What else am I don't know. There's probably other things I should mention, but whatever. All right, I'm gonna call it a night. I will share this painting when it's done. But yeah, Wednesday I'll start working on something else, or continue working on something else. I have a couple paintings that I started a while ago. But yeah, thank you everybody for joining me. I appreciate it. I will be back Wednesday night, and if you can't make it Wednesday, I'm gonna be back Sunday, and so on. Have a good rest of your day. Have a good one. Bye.